All right, how's everybody going? How's everybody doing? This is Jose Trujillo. Welcome to the new Facebook Live artwork session. We're going to get it started. Even though it might not be perfect right now, we're going to get it started. So, thank you guys so much for joining in. Those of you who are going to be joining me for this awesome little art session. And I'm going to be painting today on an 8x10. Here, let's do something like this instead today. Something horizontal. So this is going to be an 8x10 inches on canvas board. How's it going, Neil? Thank you so much for joining in. Neil says, hi, Jose. We're ready. Let's do this. So as I promised you guys, we're going to be doing this every day. Not the session only, but on Mondays, it's going to be Ask the Artist. On Tuesdays, we're going to be talking about art marketing. On Wednesdays, it's going to be, like today, a live artwork session. And on Thursdays, we're going to be talking about what it is to be an artist. How's it going, Walker? Walker says, hi, Jose. Hi, Walker. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's get ready to rumble. Let's get ready for this. I got my Starbucks ready for those of you who are ready for this. Starbucks is way too much fun for me. And I'm going to be putting on my trusted glove, something like that. It's ready for to operate. And oh, just a second, you guys. I'm almost missing some of the best part. Getting those brushes ready. How's it going, Nancy? You're getting so spoiled. Nancy says I'm getting so spoiled. Aren't we all? We're all I think I'm also very spoiled here because I'm always I don't know, this is what I do every day, so I just kind of wake up and I'm like, what am I going to paint today? What silliness am I going to come up with today? So today I'm going to do a couple of pairs, okay? We're going to start with something simple today. For those of you who haven't seen some of my other artwork, it's very simple and direct. This is to keep the flow going, so I'm going to do a couple of pairs. Now usually I use something like this to get the drawing started, not today, because I don't want to confuse some of you out there, and I want you to practice using your brush, okay, to draw and paint. So what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna dip the brush on a little bit of oil. I like to use walnut oil, and I'm gonna use some red tones right now, just to kind of create the drawing. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to create a circle like this. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're not building pianos here, okay? We're painting. And then something like this. And that's a pair. Just because it can be, okay? And then right behind it, if you make the circle perfect, cool if that's your thing, but you don't have to, okay? And the reason is because, I mean, have you ever seen a perfect circle pair? Probably not, huh? So I was going to keep it at 2, but since I decided to draw the other one over there, well, let's make 3 pairs. Very simple, guys. The simpler, the better. What you want to do is you want to really push the paint onto the canvas. Many of us don't do that. Many of us kind of just like to feather it. Feathering is something that you want to do at the end of it if you want to feather. Feather means that you're doing something like this. This is feathering. A lot of impressionists use that approach to start their paintings or end them. What I suggest when you're starting out, because they already knew what they were doing, so every little brush stroke or they were trying to create some sort of tone or whatever. What I suggest when you're starting out is to block. Blocking means that you're putting color, you're feeling color in an area without really being very without thinking about it too much. You're really just filling in the color in an area. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do right here. We're blocking right now. We're blocking. See, there's an area right here. There's an area right here. And this really is going to help lose the fear. You know, it really, if you can do something like this, you're going to lose the fear of painting. If you keep practicing, the better you're going to get. But it really comes down to losing fear. If I start doing all sorts of things and not really tell you guys that it's that simple, you might think that it's this mystical thing, you know, but it's not. Of course, it becomes very awesome once you start discovering your style and, you know, whatnot. But look, I'm going to do a bit of an outline to reinforce what's happening. Notice I didn't start with the outline first, a strong outline first, because I didn't want us to focus on that. If we focus on the strong outline, what many times happens is that we focus on the drawing first, and I wanted to focus on the blocking of the color. The blocking of the color is much more important when you're starting out. As a matter of fact, there's many school of thoughts out there in painting that I really admire. Some artists, especially a lot of the modern plein air painters, the very sophisticated ones, they teach that, and I think it's very cool. It's very cool to learn how to do that. That is one of the reasons why they use the brush like this. And when they're painting, they do this. It's a very blocking, you know, it's a very blocking approach here. You know, it's just applying color. So here, because we have to have some shadow, right? I'm going to mix a little bit and just kind of create a bit of a shade on our pear. Do not be so concerned in the color of it, what tone I'm using, because that does not matter right now. What matters is that you get the hang of just applying color. The application of color alone, you may know how to paint, you may know how to do certain things, but if you still have fear of application of color, it means you haven't practiced just enough yet. Okay, so that's the first things that I like to tackle. Tackle. This is the application of color. Application of color for me is everything, because you can even be putting so-called quote-unquote dirty colors, okay, but if you're not afraid of it, you will do something really amazing, even if you're doing the wrong color. If you, like the saying says, be bold and forces will help you, or something like that. I'm always slaughtering sayings. But you gotta be bold. You gotta be bold, and if you're bold, cool stuff is going to start happening. Okay? Now these are highlights. Okay? We know that there has to be highlights right here, because our light is hitting from over here. So we know there has to be highlights. Okay? It doesn't have to be white. I like to experiment with white because this is just the way I like to do it. And I know a lot of artists talk about, like, never put white on a painting, you know, especially the realists. I really don't care. I like to play with white. But right here, I'm not using white. Okay? It's just like, you know, I'm like, I really don't care, but I'm not using white right now. And then let's do some stems, okay? And let's have the painting go that way. Now, for purposes of for purposes of composition, this is going to draw our eye right out of the painting. So one cool thing to do right here, okay? Here's a little lesson, is to erase that, okay? And erase this. And have this one sort of just go up because it's like they're having a conversation, right? Because all the pairs are going that way. Let's take it back into the painting. These are little arrows. Anything you can use as little arrows. The great masters used to do it with hand gestures and positioning over the bodies, what they did figurative painting or buildings. We can do that as well. Okay? And then this way, it keeps our pairs like this. Even though they're going that way, the body of the pear, but it brings it, because of the stems, it brings it to a center. It draws our eyes back, as opposed to get our eyes out of the painting. That is a really cool. Those are really cool little things to know, especially when if you're trying to learn composition and maybe going to the market. Collectors love that kind of stuff. Some collectors look for that kind of stuff. Others just like, because it's a natural. It's a very simple natural composition. People just kind of are drawn to good composition naturally. Many art collectors and people that like that kind of stuff. So to not make it so complicated with colors again, I'm going to put a gray background, a sort of grayish background. Okay, just to look. You notice how I kind of work. This is called cutting. Okay, or negative painting, negative space. When you're close to the, in other words, you're painting again, but you're subtracting this time, and you're helping it form the shape. This is a very cool practice to do. See how I'm cutting into the object with the side, the end of the brush. This is a very cool thing to learn to do if you are into working in a flow type of way, because it will allow you to move quicker. Okay, let's even put a little bit of light right there, because somehow light just happened to pop from here there. I don't know. Everything that may be real, anything that we do like to paint as think of reality, it's skewed, because what really is reality? Okay, so there you go, guys. Check that out. Nancy says, "I'm loving the color." Thank you so much, Nancy. And now that you have that, you can decide to stop there, or you can decide to go further in. Okay? Here's a little trick. If you want to kind of stop there and you want to make sure that you did a great job, okay? Get some pure white. Maybe put a little bit of yellow, but very little, almost pure. And this I call it, I call it kissing. Kisses. There's a little kiss. And then there's a little kiss, and then maybe there's a little kiss, and then here's a little kiss. We're kissing it with white, because and there's a little kiss. It's a little bigger, but it's cool. Make sure they're just little. Vermeer was a master at doing that with the camera oscura, as we all think. That he used the camera oscura. If he didn't, it doesn't matter if he did or he didn't. He knew how to play with light. He was a master at doing that. First, he kind of created a blurred image, and then he defined it with certain, because he never painted lines. I don't know if you guys ever studied Vermeer. He never really painted lines. It was very blurred, sort of early impressionist, if you would, type of feather. And then, but he was very defined when he painted light. It was very definitive when he painted, when he used white or any hard lighting. It was very definitive, and that's what I believe that was part of his gift. He used sort of a photographic type of working, where there's a blurred background, and then the foreground is very defined. So Here I'm going to do another little thing that you guys may be interested in. There is, so that they don't appear like they're floating somewhere, right? You can use black or you can use any color you want that is hard, okay? That is dark. And this is a base. You're giving it a base so that it sits somewhere. Okay? Another thing is that when they're touching each other, you don't have to have the whole line coming from up here. Just where they're touching, you could just pretend that there is some sort of rubbing, and it's a hard light. It's not a hard light, it's dark, right? They're just kind of touching each other. Thank you so much, Joyce. Joyce says, hi, Jose, just beautiful. Thank you so much, Samantha. Hi, Jose. How's things today? Great, Samantha. Thank you so much. Did the Impressionists always paint the backgrounds last like you do? Samantha asks. Many of the Impressionists did. Some of them as it's proven, because what I like to see is some of the stuff that they didn't finish, some of the work, but like all artists, right? Maybe when they were younger, they did things a certain way. In their middle age, they did things differently, and then when they got older, they did things even more different. As older they got, the more abstract they become. That is always the truth, you know. Like Dali was very, very hyper realistic in the peak of his artistic career, and then he became very, very, very abstract, even more abstract than when he started. When he started, he was sort of a post-impressionist type of painter. But yeah, many of the impressionists painted the backgrounds. They kind of jump back and forth. They did it last, and this actually painting the background last is not so much an impressionist thing. It's a very classical way of painting. It's just that when we do it today, that it's a bit abstract, like what I'm doing right now. It seems like it's modern, right? But if you see the paintings by the Renaissance painters, most of the time they studies show that they painted the figures first and then the background last. And I think that gives it sort of a jump. It kind of jumps at you. I know Gustave Caillebotte, one of those painters too, the Impressionist painters, like to do that as well. I know Degas loved doing that as well. He painted the image first, but Degas was also a lover of the Renaissance and the medieval and the very classical type of painters. He really enjoyed that. It was his cup of tea, and I think that these guys in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Applied that form of painting that was used during the Renaissance and even up to the Rococo period. But anyways, and I get lost in this kind of stuff. I love this stuff. Now here's another thing, okay, guys? You can put pure color also. You can put pure color, and of course you can always put pure color. So I'm gonna get some cadmium red. Okay, I'm not going to mix it with anything other than with a little bit of oil. For me, a little bit is a lot, okay? Of walnut oil. And we're just going to put in key places where we think that there is concave, right? Areas in a pear. Maybe like right here. Just touch it. Right here. Look at that. Where light doesn't reach it that much, we put pure color. This is something that I love doing. And I do it very much automatically now, but I used to really think about it at some point. So there we go. Yeah, it really does. If you paint the background last, it brings the subject to the foreground, and it creates a more, it sort of jumps at you in a certain way. And I really love doing that with every chance I get. I don't like to stick to a single thing. but I will stick to a single thing for months. That I've noticed. For example, at some point I started just drawing with these things. So, and I stuck with them, you know. I stuck with this, just drawing with this over and over. I still do it. But I know that I might just start letting it go. Who knows? But I don't like to stick with one thing. I like to use it, abuse it, and then move on to the next thing. Because you keep growing, you know. The whole point is that you want to keep growing. See? And there we go. I hope you guys enjoy this session. Let me put a little bit more. We can even, you know, there is no such thing as it's done, like most artists know, but we will have to come to a point where it has to be done. Otherwise, we can't move forward. So, you should stop when you feel like enough is enough for you. And only you know how to decide that, okay? For example, this painting could have been finished before I even put the white hard light right there. It doesn't have to have it. Okay? It doesn't really have to have it. And all of this stuff that I'm doing is just to kind of show you where you can take it. The red that I put there is just to show you, look, this is where you can take it. This is how far you go with it. It really depends to you, you know. But the possibility is there. And that's a very cool thing, to know that the possibility is there. Another thing you can do, here's another thing you can do, okay guys? Bear with me. Every time you put shadow somewhere, like this, the shadow's on the left. Okay? This is very dramatic. This is called dramatic lighting. The chiaroscuro artists like Caravaggio were masters at doing this. Every time you have something dark, for example, we have the gray right here. Make a light. And it will even bring it more to the foreground. You see that? Make it lighter. Like right here. Because the shadow is right here. The shadow's on the right, make it lighter on the left. And this is sort of a rendition of chiaroscuro. Okay? So this is chiaro, oscuro. I'll leave you guys with that. The name is Jose Trujillo. Man, I'm one hell of an artist. I am the world's greatest living artist. Sorry for those of you who think you are. It's me. I'm sorry. Yeah, Brian Vasquez says only the darkness can show on the can show you the light. It's so true. Only the darkness can show you the light. It's very Star Wars of you, Brian. I love that. But yeah, it is true. Only when many artists we tend to start light, and there is a process of doing that. You really have to practice that. Because many artists, the very first mistake we do is that we start our paintings very light, and then we try to make them lighter, and that is it's almost impossible to do. It's very hard to do unless you really understand tones, unless you really understand values. You know, you really have practice values, then you can make it light and then go lighter. But many of us, when we start out, we start with the pigment itself. I mean, the paint itself, the color. Like a red, and then we try to make this lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, and that is very difficult to do. What you want to do is start dark. It doesn't matter how dark you start, you can always make it lighter. So that's a good practice to do. Start with dark and then go lighter. I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining in. Don't forget, share this, give some love, share with other artsy friends, and tomorrow, don't miss at noon. Tomorrow we will be having a little discussion on the emotional aspect about being an artist, the struggles, the hurdles, all the things that we face on a day-to-day, the things that make us want to show up, and the things that makes us don't want to show up and paint and do the things that we need to do. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jose. Walker says, thanks, Jose. Thank you so much, Walker. I really appreciate it. You guys Have a wonderful day, and don't stop. Keep doing whatever you're doing, because it can only get better. Oh, all the next ones, Brian asked what time's the next live. The next live is going to be next Wednesday, and it's going to be at noon. So every day we're going to be doing something different. Right now I have something programmed for Monday through Thursday. So Monday is going to be Ask the Artist, okay? Every Monday at noon, you guys want to be having some notes ready or some questions, because we're going to be doing a Q&A for the artists. Stuff that you guys may be thinking about, that maybe you want to take your stuff into the market, maybe you guys don't know how to stretch canvas, little things like that. That way I can prepare and bring you guys some quality content, okay? So Monday is Ask the Artist. Tuesday is art marketing, everything about art marketing. So you guys can also have some questions there, or share with me, and I'll share with you stuff that works and stuff that doesn't work, and why, to getting your artwork to the market. On Wednesdays, it's a live session like today, and tomorrow on Thursdays, it's going to be about being an artist. Everything about being an artist, from the emotional and the challenges and all that fun stuff. Okay, guys, take care. Here, let me do a little. Let me get it close. Bam! There it is. Look at that. It's so much fun. Guys, take care, and I will be seeing you tomorrow at noon again. Bye-bye.